Hey guys, once again, here I am, chilling at my office. But anyways, I wanted to tell you about the things about the Bible I learned. So, I've read the whole Bible 2 or 3 times. Almost 2 times, but I've read it almost three. Like, I've read it in segments in the third one. So, not orthodoxly linear, you know? So, anyways. So there's many prophecies in the Old Testament that point to the Messiah. And AD and BC are when time is split in half. And time is not what you think it is to God. 1,000 years to a man is one day to God. 1,000 years. And that's just a fraction. That's just variables in how he orders time. And it doesn't have to be that way. But your conscience can't capacitate His Highness. But anyways, there was a blood moon when Israel was reborn in 1948. In 1968, there was a blood moon when they took back Jerusalem against all odds. On the 7th day going into the Sabbath day, when they rested, there was a blood moon. They won the war in 6 days on the Yom Kippur War, 6-day war. In 1926, my family of the Hamburgs came here from Germany and foresaw Hitler's uprising in the 1920s. When in 1920 he started his uprising from a small position to the position he got to through political strings and occult matters. That he wore a mandrake around his neck. If you watch the National Geographic documentary, there's some strange things that took place. But anyways, so Israel's reborn on a blood moon. They took back Jerusalem on a blood moon. There was a blood moon in 2014 and 15 on Yom Kippur in Sukkot. 2014 and 15. So Mark Blitz wrote a book about it. And there was one when Donald Trump was born, and a comet went by the earth also. And there was a blood moon halfway through, when he entered office, halfway through his office term, and there was a blood moon on the midterm elections this year at 2 o'clock in the morning. You notice the twos, right? The twos are there for a reason, the doubles. So it's like 2014 and 15 and twos. And 2 o'clock in the morning, you know. So notice those twos there, they're significant. And when at 2 o'clock in the morning on the midterm elections, there was no House Speaker in the House of America. And they were judging one. And there was, remember this all started from Donald Trump making Abraham's Accord, in which they tried to recycle Ariel Sharon's peace deal, but Palestine turned it down this time. So they redid it with Abraham's Accord. And Russia and Iran have allied in the Gog and Magog Armageddon prophecy. And it's all moving to that now. Because they tried to divide Israel, and it says in the Bible he would do this for dividing Israel, and he doesn't lie. So Ariel Sharon, when George Bush was in office, force evacuated 30,000 Jews out of their homes and cut up pieces of Israel and gave it to Palestine as their territory in exchange for a peace deal. Ariel Sharon went to a coma a week later after doing this deal. And the day that Ariel Sharon made the deal, George Bush clapped on national air for him. And Hurricane Katrina hit America an hour after George Bush clapped, and the surge waters from the hurricane hit his hometown and evacuated 130,000 people, 4 times the amount that were evacuated in Israel's land. So 4 times the amount, like Cain, 40 times the curse, you know? And 4s, things are cursed in 4s. So, or in 40s. So there was a 4 times curse that backfired in George Bush's face for clapping on air. And the surge waters went to his hometown of Houston, Texas, where he lived at the time. This all happened an hour after him clapping on national TV in front of the nation. God sent all this judgment on it an hour later. That's crazy. But it's crazy how you can see the dominoes fall in that chain reaction. You know? There's a chain reaction. And in the Bible, in Joel 3:9, I think it says, and also in either Jeremiah or Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah, it says, he will gather all nations to the valley of Jehoshaphat for what they did to his people Israel, for dividing up his land and scattering his people. So they evacuated people off the land and gave up pieces of the land and divided it. So that's exactly what they did. So Donald Trump tried to recycle that peace deal. Can you imagine? Everybody thought Donald Trump was good, but Donald Trump actually tried to divide up the land of Israel and give it away. Why would he do that? But that was Jared Kushner's propagation as Donald Trump was in power. Jared Kushner was using Donald Trump for power in that. Now, if Donald Trump knew what he was doing, though, I would assume. Does he know? God knows. But I would assume he did. If he did or not, God knows. But this is what happened, and this is why I don't trust him. And also, he made Abraham's Accord so the 2 o'clock a.m. blood moon was over the sky when there was no House Speaker. Then they voted one in for Abraham's Accord, and that's where all this is going, y'all. That's why the Russians are at war. There's Russian warships around America. There's spy balloons being shot down every day now because China and Russia and Iran, you know, have allied. And Israel is surrounded by many enemies, being like sheep in the middle of a bunch of wolves for no reason. Turkey just had a big earthquake that killed over 35,000 people, and they're still counting. And thousands of buildings fell. And the Armenian genocide was escalating there. The second one, as it happened before, 1 million Christians were killed in Turkey, and the media blacked it out. So, I was born on the day the Armenian genocide started, April 24th. And I found that interesting and ironic that my research from my mother's bloodline on my grandma, from my grandma telling me that they came from Hamburg. They were the Hamburgs and came out of Germany in 1926. From the genealogy, they foresaw the political tensions with Hitler rising and everything. So, being a German Jew, came out of there. And also being born on the Armenian genocide date, I thought that was interesting and ironic. And I've always felt like I had maybe a connection, or I should avenge it in some way with my words, you know, just bring awareness to it. But God knows. But either way, I just hope everyone understands this video, what I'm saying, that this is important. It's something you shouldn't make light of. These signs, it says in the Bible, there will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the heavens. So, and the watchers will quake. And the Euphrates River would dry up on the 6th vial being poured out on the earth in the book of Revelations. And the Euphrates River has dried up already. The Euphrates River just dried up. And in the middle of America now, there's blood rivers. There's a river of blood in the middle of America, and there's a chemical spill all the way up from Ohio, or it looks like blood. And there's a chemical spill all the way in Ohio, going up from a train that just spilled. New Zealand's country had floods that were unprecedented. Turkey had the earthquake. There's supposedly a new virus coming out too. I said all this before it ever happened. If you scroll down my Facebook feed, really far, years down, years and years and years and years and years and years, I said all this would come like 10 years ago. People thought I was just negative and weird and stuff, and I was like, oh, this stuff's gonna happen. God knows, you know. I can do nothing without God. I love you guys, and you know, sometimes I've relayed messages from other people. So, you know, many years ago I would talk about things, but sometimes I was talking about things I was relaying, and maybe I failed to specify it, but I always try to give credit where it's due. But maybe sometimes I forgot to specify it. But if I did that, I'm sorry, and I will try to. But anyways, God bless you all. Be strong, and look with the eyes of your heart, not your flesh. Remember, look to the future. Be in the present, one day at a time. Blessed are the pure in heart, they will see the face of God. Remember all those things.